I'm just getting you started. Were you here last week?
No.
I think you were not. Okay, so this is what we did last week. So same thing. Just like 2 weeks to practice. And we're using these again, SOHCAHTOA. And we're trying to find the missing angles. So the first time we just did the relationships, tangent, sine, cosine. The next week we did missing side. And last week we did missing angles. So remember, so sine of the angle equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. The cosine of the angle okay, all right. Cosine of the angle is the adjacent side length over the hypotenuse. And then the tangent of the angle equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. And these come up if you have to take math, like any type of math, these come up a lot. So that's why we're trying to learn these. Okay, today it says nearest degree. So we don't want to round to any decimals. We're going to round to the nearest degree. So that makes it easy. All right, so what we have to do is we have to label our triangle with respect to the angle we're given. So I like to call it, let's call it X.
I have a whole bunch of holes, fine.
I've tried those. We can just draw on them. It didn't work for me, but
Okay.
maybe today.
Their tip might be a little too back.
Oh, no. So yes, I have 4 of these in my room. So.
Well, you can have that one. I have like a big bag of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
All the options.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. What side would 23 be? Good, opposite. Well, how about 30? Good. Okay, so what relationship are we going to use? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Good, tangent. So we've got, I'm calling my angle X, but you can call it whatever. So we're doing tangent of X equals the opposite side, which is 23, over opposite over adjacent side, which is 30. And again, if you can do this without us, you can, we're just reviewing. So if you don't need to remember with us, go ahead and move forward. Okay, so what do we do here? We have tangent. We have this. We need X by itself. Does anyone remember? We got to undo this tangent. Do you remember what it's called? Did you remember? That's okay.
Oh, inverse.
Inverse, yes. Inverse tangent. So we're going to do inverse tangent. So that looks like this. Inverse tangent on this side. And then I ran out of space, so we're just going to fit it in here. Tangent inverse of this side. So this is like if we have, remember this is like if we have x squared. If we want to get rid of the squared, we do the square root. Remember that? And then those cancel out. Okay, so this is just the same thing. We're doing an inverse function. So tangent inverse to tangent, those cancel out. But then we were left with this. So we've got x by itself over here, and then we have tangent inverse of our fraction, 23 over 30. And then we just plug that in our calculator. And if you can find a calculator on your phone that does this, you can do it on your phone. But I just like the calculators better for this. It's not so glary. Okay, so I'm going to do second tangent. That gives me the tangent inverse. That's what I need. So tangent inverse of 23 divided by 30. And then I just write this number. So I'm finding the degree. So I need to label that. And it tells me nearest degree. So I'm going to go to the first decimal place. The first decimal place is less than 5. So I'm just going to round down to 37. So X, our angle X is 37. 37, and then I put my degree symbol. All right, are you doing okay? You're following? Okay, let's do a few more. This is how many questions are there? We got 3 pages, there's 30. So 30 practice questions. Let's do a few more. Are there any that you want to do or look harder? They're all triangles. Should we just keep going forward? Okay. All right, let's do number 2. So I like to call my angle X, and then we need to label the sides. So what would 7 be? Opposite. Good. Opposite. And then 2 would be good, adjacent. Good. Very good. And so what relationship are we going to use? Tangent. Good. So we're going to say tangent of our angle is equal to the opposite side. Tells me that opposite side, which is 7, over adjacent side, which is 2. Okay. And then what do we do from there? Yeah. Inverse. We want to get rid of tangent. We got to get x by itself. So we got to undo tangent. So to undo tangent, they have invented tangent inverse. So if we do that on one side, we have to do tangent inverse on the other side. So tangent inverse cancels with tangent. We just have x. And then we have to type this in our calculator. Did you need a calculator? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to see. It's kind of glary. There we go. So second tangent of 7 divided by 2, parentheses, gives us 74. And our first decimal is a 0, which is less than 5. So we're going to just round to 74. 74 degrees. So we just found this angle, the size of that angle in there. Okay, and that's our answer. Okay, questions so far? Sounding familiar for the people who were here? Okay, all right. Should we do a few more? Okay, let's do a few more. Let's just keep going down. And again, we have this labeled at the top, like we have on our other assignment. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. And I remember those. I just remember SOHCAHTOA, and then I can build my relationships from these, I don't know what you call it, the way way to remember our relationship, SOHCAHTOA. Okay, let's jump down to number 3. I'm going to use x again. I like x. We're finding the angle x. So what is 38? What side would we label it? Good, opposite. And we also have 40. What is the side 40? Good, the hypotenuse. Very good. Okay, so then we need the relationship that relates the opposite and the hypotenuse. So if we look up here, opposite and hypotenuse is the sine. So then we do sine of our angle, which is x, equals, there we go, equals opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite side is 38. Hypotenuse is 40. And then we need to get rid of sine. So just like above, we did the inverse tangent, there's also an inverse sine. So we're going to do inverse sine here and inverse sine over here. So that will cancel the sine inverse cancels with sine. That gives us x. So x on the left. And then sine inverse of this on the right. So we just type that in. And again, if you are trying to do the inverse, you just do, oh no, someone is calling me. You just do the second sine, and then that's where you get that. So the negative one means inverse. We're doing the inverse sine, and then we just type in 38 divided by 4D, end parenthesis equals. We get 71.8. Oh, but we're rounding to the whole degree. Oops. So this first decimal is bigger than 5. So we're going to round up. So this is going to be, we're going to round to 72. I just forgot we were doing that. Okay, round to the nearest whole degree. 72. Oh, we also want to label this as degrees. Okay, questions on that? Okay, should we do another one? Should we do a few more? Get the hang of it. And again, if you've got the hang of it, you can go ahead. You don't have to stay back with us. Okay, this one, we're looking for this angle down here. And then what sides do we have? What's 36? This one's kind of feels like a weird triangle. What's 36? Yeah, it is the height. It's across from the 90. This kind of looks weird, but you guys got it. It's the height. Okay, and then what's 12? 12 is not opposite. Good. 12 is adjacent. Good. So we need the relationship between adjacent and hypotenuse. What is that relationship? Good. So we're going to do cosine of x equals, and then cosine says we need adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent side is 12. Hypotenuse is 36. And so then I need to get rid of cosine. So what are we going to do to get rid of the cosine so we just have x by itself? Inverse. Yeah, good. Inverse. So we're going to do cosine inverse on one side. So if we do it on the left side, we got to do that same thing on the right side, just like in all algebra. So we're going to do cosine inverse on the right side. So cosine inverse cancels with cosine. We just have x on the left, and then we have cosine inverse of 12 divided by 36 on the right. So again, I'm going to do second button cosine. That will give me the inverse cosine, and then I type in my fraction. So 12 divided by 36, parentheses, and that gives me 70.5. 5 is right on the line. If it's a 5, we're going to round up. So 71 degrees. Oh, these are all like, this was 72, 71, 74. Interesting. Okay. How are we feeling about that? Should we do a few more? Okay. All right, let's get the hang of it. Again, if you've got it, you can just move ahead. Or you can work with us. Okay, number 5. We're gonna label our angle. You can call it whatever you want. If you want to call it 12, or you probably don't want to put a number actually. Any letter. You could put like Z. I'm gonna put X. All right, and then what's 64? What side would 64 be, Cash? Related to this angle.
Would be the opposite.
Yeah, good, opposite. Good, and then we also need the label for 48. What would 48 be? So the one across from the 90 is our hypotenuse. We don't have a hypotenuse, so what's the other one called? Adjacent. Good. Good. So then we need to find the relationship that matches the adjacent and the opposite. So that's going to be tangent. So tangent of the angle, tangent of x, equals opposite side, which is 64, over adjacent side, which is 48. So this is a lot of, if you have those relationships written down, you're just kind of matching and filling in. And then the next thing we're going to do is the inverse. So we got to get rid of tangent. We'll do tangent inverse to get rid of tangent. And if we do that on one side, we have to do that on the other side. So then tangent inverse cancels with tangent. We've got x on the left. and then we just type that into our calculator. So to type it in, again, we do second, and then we have our tangent button. So second tangent button, that gives us inverse tangent. And then we type our fraction in. So our fraction is 64 divided by 48. Okay, and then we got 53. X is, oops, there it is. X is 53.1. So 1, are we going to round up to 54 or down to 53? Because we got 0.1. So 1 is less than 5. We're going to round down to 53. So 53 degrees. Okay. I think we have got the hang of it. So I'm going to let you work on this. Once you are done, you should either, if you missed last week, you can work on the assignment from last week, or you should work on Edgenuity.